and welcome to another episode of Manifestation for Assholes.
Welcome back, everyone.
This podcast is for people who want to integrate their inner asshole, and our mission is to show others how to manifest their dream relationship and their soulmate, whether they are in one or not. Today, we are discussing the duality of reality.
The duality of reality. That is a tongue twister.
I am Jake, and with me, as always, is my lovely wife, Carissa. We're very grateful that you decided to join us today. And the duality of reality is very important to us, especially when discussing relationships, because when you're talking about the duality of reality, you're talking about all of the paradoxes that exist around us all the time. All the time. You got anything more to add, hon?
Yeah. One, I just wanted to tell all of our viewers today that we are live on TikTok for the first time. So we're really excited. We might be kind of like looking up and down on our computer
Yes,
screen
we
and then
are
our
live on
phone
TikTok
screen
and recording a podcast at the same time.
at the same time. And then, yeah, I wanted to say, okay, so oh, shit, what did I do? Okay. Yeah, I have in my note section of my phone, under my all the things I want to talk about on TikTok. I read it this morning when I added the duality of reality. I have here that I am a walking, talking paradox.
Aren't
And
we all?
I was gonna say, and I believe we all are. However, you know, our level of awareness allows us to know that. And hold on, my computer. I opened up
Well,
my notes and it
the walking
popped.
talking paradox is a lot of what we do here, right? Like when you're talking about a walking talking paradox, one that everyone can understand is fear and faith, right?
Yeah.
When we have fear, okay, that is faith applied inversely, right? You are certain, or you are sure, you are really looking at the possibility of that outcome happening, or that thing happening, right? Well, that is a form of faith, and that is part of the duality of reality that we talk about.
Yeah. It's a great example. And I believe too that we really get to choose. Um, so like for instance, you can be a powerful, independent woman who still craves to be led, right? Who doesn't crave to be so masculine that she lives in her masculine energy. And the paradox is basically, well, that is the paradox, right? Like you in a relationship, oh my gosh, when you manifest your dream relationship and you think it's supposed to be all roses and butterflies and you're just going to be swept away off your feet and everything's going to be fine. Yes, that happens. And also, once that honeymoon period fades, which it does, doesn't mean it doesn't come back, but it does fade. You know, once you start off as I, right? And then you become a we, and then you have to kind of essentially go back to being an I, right? Because you can't just completely lose yourself in the relationship and be a we the rest of your life. There's that interdependence, not independent, not codependence, but that interdependence. And that's usually, at least for me, something that needs to be taught. It wasn't taught to me in childhood or adolescence or young adulthood. So I have to learn it now. Um, but I know for me, when Jake and I first got together, I had a lot of ideas of how my relationship should look, and that's not exactly what I got as far as staying in my reality. What I got was a man who was my mirror. What I got was a man who was like, hey, you've got some stuff. And everything Jake would say to me, I was able to easily absorb and digest it. Only, and I'm talking more like negative traits, not my awesome ones, because I have both. But I remember just being like, oh shit, that's what Drew used to say to me, one of my exes, or oh shit, that's what Kyle used to say. That's my daughter's father. Or oh, that's what my mom used to say. Like, and then it's kind of jarring because you're like, well, those people weren't wrong. They were right about me. So that holding up that mirror really allows you to grow, but it's also really uncomfortable because it's from the person you love the most.
It's super uncomfortable, and I experienced the same thing when we got together. Right, we spent that year apart. We spent that year alone. Each of us did, unknowingly, separately. We spent a year alone, really getting to know self. And I really moved into this idea of like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for relationships. I'm ready. I've healed this stuff. And then we start our relationship. And as we start to encounter some challenges, I start to hear a lot of what my ex-wife used to say coming
Yeah.
out of your mouth. Now, you two have never met. You guys are not. You guys have never met. And yet when I start to hear the same thing, I'm like, holy shit. All right, well, same stuff, different person. Okay, so I can do one of two things. I can continue to um, say it's you, and therefore I get to be right, or I get to actually say, shit. Okay, I've heard this before. These people don't know each other. So what is the common thread? The common thread is me, is Jake.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
my shit.
let me look at the parts of them that I'm willing to start to just have the possibility that maybe I need to
Maybe.
change or tweak something, or at least investigate whether or not changing or tweaking that thing needs to be done, considering I've heard it the last 15 years. Um, Honey, I just realized something. I don't know how to do this, but I think we can turn this live into co-hosting, and we should be co-hosting at the same time so that people can see both of us at the same time.
Oh,
Um,
they can't see both of us?
I don't, I know they can on our podcast, but I don't know that they can on live
Oh, on TikTok. Great
because
idea.
we're
Great
just
idea.
so I was able to find where I can add you. Oh wait, here we
Add
go. Let
me.
me try this. Go live with guests. Let me try this.
Okay.
See what happens there. I just invited you.
Oh my God, but this filter on TikTok, I'm
I mean,
telling
you're
you, wait
not
till you see
wrong.
me.
Whoops. What did I just invite? Whoops. No, I did not. Cancel. Cancel all those. First time going live, so bear with us and thank you very much for joining. I don't know. Is this you, Carissa, or who did I just?
I don't see
Whoopsies.
any
I
invite.
I accidentally co-hosted. Whoops. I don't know what I did.
Take your time. Gosh, my favorite pen is running out.
Decline. Hosts. No, you're not. Whoops. Oh my God, this is super funny.
What would you do?
I somehow, okay, there we go. I'm back to just me. I
Okay.
somehow did it on accident with somebody else. Yeah, you have your invitations off, so I cannot ask you to host with me.
Oh, because I turned it off for 10 minutes because that
Yeah,
guy kept asking. So let's try in, I don't know, 7
try in a few
minutes.
minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's get back into the duality of reality for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Um,
All right.
basically,
So I have a good example, right? So this is the duality of reality if you want to manifest your dream relationship. So let's say, for instance, you want a really deep, secure soulmate love. Like you want to be married, you want to have a husband, you want to have a wife, you want to have your own family, you want that security, you want that safety. But and also you have a nervous system that is addicted to chaos. That would be the paradox, right? You want safety, you want peace, you want love, you want harmony, but your nervous system legitimately doesn't know how to recognize it, doesn't know how to see it. It'll see it as lame or boring or he's this or he's that. And literally you're addicted to chaos. And it's not anybody's fault, right? This happens in childhood, adolescence. The brain produces certain chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline, and there are things that truly are up against you in the most beautiful way. I don't want to say that from like a victim standpoint, like you can't heal it, because you certainly can. It is a daily practice, but that would be the paradox of what you want, what you desire, but then what you're receiving based off the signal that you're sending out to the universe.
well, absolutely, right? So you're saying you crave safety, you crave security, you crave that nice, peaceful relationship, but you're used to chaos and you're addicted to chaos, and so you might go on a date with somebody and they're relatively boring because um, they don't have all those red flags that you're so used to seeing and so used to encountering that give you that dopamine hit, that give you that rush of cortisol, that give you those those things that your body is actually addicted to, those hormone responses that your body's actually addicted to.
Yeah, and it's because we recognize the chaos usually from most of the time it's from a parent, right? It's not effective to blame our parents. They truly did the best. We say this all the time. They truly did the best they could with the tools that they had at the time. Or maybe they didn't. I don't fucking know. Doesn't matter. But it's ineffective to blame our parents. However, you want to be able to at least this is wild, all of the invites that I'm getting.
Yeah,
Weird. Look at this one. I'm
that's
gonna
okay.
just
It must just be it's a learning curve for us.
yeah, I want to screenshot it though. Um, what was I saying? What did I just say?
Blaming parents isn't effective.
Yeah, well, there's another one. Fucking wild. Yeah, blaming parents isn't effective. Um, I totally lost it.
Yep. Well, it isn't. I'm still
Hmm.
looking for you.
That's weird. You can't just punch in my name?
I can, and I've got you now, but it's still not allowing.
It's weird. Why are all these other people?
D5. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, we'll have to edit that part out.
Yeah.
Shit, what was I gonna say? That
Okay.
was so good.
So I'm going to go into a couple, okay? I got 5 examples here. I just want to go into a couple about the duality
Yeah.
of reality. So, number one, reality is both perceived and shared, okay? So, especially in relationships or in any conversation, it could be with bosses, it could be with friends, it could be with siblings, it could be with parents, it could be with anybody. There's your reality, there's my reality, and then there's the third thing in between us that we're both sharing. I think you call that the shared reality. And it's important because this is part of the duality, right? Like if we're children and we're looking at a rainbow and you say to me, "Oh, what color is that rainbow?" And I say purple and red, and I say, "What color is it to you?" And you say it's blue and green. Well, we're both right. We're both right because we're looking at a rainbow, and a rainbow has all those colors. But your perception, for some reason, the blues and greens are popping more. And my perception is
Right.
that the purples and reds are popping more. And then our shared reality is, well, now you've just highlighted for me the blues and greens. So naturally, I'm going to see a little bit more blue and green. And I've highlighted for you the purple and red. So naturally, you're going to see a little bit more purple and red.
Right.
So, how this fits into relationships, because every individual sees through the lens of their beliefs, their traumas, their nervous system, their past experiences. And then when two realities meet, sometimes people are still persisting and still insisting that the way that I am experiencing this is the right way.
Ah,
And the
I know.
assumption and is that the way you're perceiving it is the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Guilty.
can create a lot of conflict. So the practice is to try to seek the shared reality, that co-creation where we both seek curiosity and seek to understand and not seek to control.
Seek to control. That's the hard part, especially with people that may have a fried nervous system, or really don't feel safe in the world. And the way to know whether or not you feel safe in the world is how do you sleep? How do you interact with your children? How do you interact with other relationships in your life? That's kind of a good way because I know there's probably a lot of women that are in denial that are like, I don't have a fried nervous system. I get plenty of sleep. I am healthy. I am this. And it's like, no, that's just denial eating you alive. Um, I'm gonna need one of these because
Well, I imagine that you're pretty
I'm losing my train of
overstimulated.
thought like mid sentence.
Yeah, you're pretty overstimulated with all this going on with the live and the comments and things like that. What
I
I
just
would
cannot believe the amount of people that are trying to get into my life. It's so weird.
Oh yeah, that's
It
good,
it
hon.
like it's just weird. I wrote it down for Sarah because I'm gonna do the TikTok
Yeah.
Q&A on Friday. So,
All right.
anyways,
Number two, truth exists alongside projection. So this is what you think is true might just be a well-rehearsed defense mechanism.
that you've probably been doing for years.
And you actually just mentioned it in the last just a moment ago, you mentioned kind of a defense mechanism, you know, where it's something that you tell yourself a bunch of times, like, oh, I'm healed. Well, you can tell yourself that
Oh
a
my God.
whole
Yeah,
bunch until someone triggers you,
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
you don't get to test whether or not you're healed until you're actually triggered.
Until you're in an intimate relationship with another. Doesn't have
Woo!
to be romantic. It can still be platonic, but it can be as long as it's intimate, like a relationship between, parent and child. That's still a very intimate relationship. It's platonic, but yeah, because that person becomes your mirror. And so you see everything. So like when I first met Jake, actually I wasn't that bad. Worse, I was worse then than I am now, but it was when I first got sober in 2000. Well, I got sober in 2018, but then 2019, I knew everything. I knew everything about sobriety. I knew everything about healing. I remember making a comment one day and I was like, I know more about the human body and healing than my dad does. My dad is legitimately a physician. He's a DO. Granted, doctors don't know everything. Actually, they unfortunately don't even take like a nutrition class in med school. So they legitimately don't know everything. But I certainly can't compare. Like, I can't do surgery or save a life or something like that, whereas my father could. But that's how arrogant I was because I was like, I'm healed, I'm healed, I'm healed. Yeah, I had a 4-bedroom condo that was gorgeous with the most beautiful backyard. And I was living for the most part alone. My daughter and her boyfriend lived there, but they were adult children. And so they were in and out of the house. And I was dating another man at the time, but he wasn't fully living with me. It was like 3 days, 4 days. So I just thought I was so healed. And then when I moved in with Jake, and I'm like, oh my God, we have to share like a bathroom and you like shave your beard and there's little things. What are you showing me?
Nothing, nothing. I'm just checking something out.
Oh,
Sorry,
babe.
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 I was checking something out on my end. When you first moved in, and when you're talking about being healed, and when you're talking about being in a romantic relationship, okay? And you're talking
Yes.
about what you might think is truth is just a well-rehearsed defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Super my bad.
Yes, it was. Not even gonna let you off the hook on that one.
Don't need to be let off the hook on that one.
Yeah, well, I don't know what I was saying, so we can move on.
Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops. Well, what we often call fear-based interpretations, we often call our fear-based interpretations truth when they're actually just protective stories. Um, Relationships mirror our unconscious. We project unresolved wounds onto others, and we call it fact. But true maturity means asking, is this true? And I believe you have 3 questions that you say that we should ask ourselves all the time, right?
All the time. Yeah, anytime you're noticing some type of limiting belief coming up or some type of negative thought that's demeaning to you or demeaning to another, or any type of projection about yourself, others, or the world in general, you always want to ask, is this true? So like let me give you an example. If I say like Jake is always defensive. I'm bitching and complaining, right? He's always defensive, always. Well, you want to stop. That's a projection, right? That is a projection. So you want to stop and ask, is this true? Maybe you say yes. Maybe you're like, yeah, he is defensive. And then you ask, is this true every time? And then you're like, no, no. There's plenty of times where I can go to him and tell him my concerns and he's not defensive. There still might be plenty of times where he is, but it doesn't make it a truth. It doesn't make it a fact. And so the more you can dismantle that belief, like for instance, you you never want to use the words always and never because those are trying to like solidify and make something concrete. That's not concrete. And then what was the third question? So is this true? Is this true every time?
And is
What
this
was
true for everyone? Is
That's
this
right. That's
true?
right.
Is this true every time? And is this true for everyone?
Right, because what's awesome about that is if you're just on a good one and you're like, Jake is always defensive. And then somebody asks you, is that true? And you're like, yes. And then, okay, is it? And this is what a good friend will do to you. Okay, is that true all the time? And you're like, yep, all the time. all the time, right? Because you're pissed, you're PMSing, and it's Loodle, and you're gonna stand in your conviction.
Yeah.
So then you ask, well, is that true for every single man? Every single man on earth? Like, stop. Like, you have to like be like, it's not true for every single man on earth. And what that allows your brain to do is see possibility and see it as an opportunity for you to change your judgment and your perception and your projections, while also lovingly holding your partner accountable of like, hey man, the defensiveness is driving me nuts. This is something we need to work on. And then knowing that you have just as many, because most of the time you have just as many annoying habits as your partner.
Yeah.
That was one thing when I moved in, I was like all high and mighty, and I did have better boundaries. I did, right? And so I was all high and mighty about the better boundaries, and the only difference was I had just learned them a few years prior because, my daughter's older, and you just kind of gain a little bit more life experience, but I wasn't even really better. I had just been practicing, a little bit longer. And one of my coaches recently really reminded me of this. I think I was in Loodle and I was a little annoyed with something Jake was doing. And I got this email. It was from Mami Onami. If you don't know her, go follow her. She's amazing. And she had like 8 things. It was great marketing. She's like, 8 things
Hmm.
that your partner does to drive you mad. And I'm like, yeah, let's fucking go. What does her husband do? Right? Like, all in a good one. And it had nothing to do with the opposite person. It was all about the self, all about full accountability for your own shit. Because if you're bitching about your partner's shit, you've got your own too. And like the very first number one was, you're just as annoying as your partner. Number two was, your shit stinks just as bad as your partner's. And I was just like, heard, 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 heard. It helped. It helped me because I was on you were the devil at that moment. In that moment, you were not my hero. You were the villain. And just by reading her content, you became the hero again, because it was like, then it's that mirror. You come back up to like the equal ground. Whereas I feel, me personally, I can struggle. I do find myself to be an intelligent woman, so I can struggle with feeling superior, where I'm like, well, I know more and I'm doing better than you. And it's like, no, that's, oh my God, that one, there's so many people that are doing significantly better than me. And to the people that maybe are not, I was there too. I was there too. I had that level of consciousness. And if I'm honest, I have no idea why my consciousness just, like, why universe, why God, why my soul, whatever, decided to deem this lifetime as the lifetime I woke up. And I'm
Yeah.
so blessed because I look at these people who are trapped in their own mind. Like one woman specifically who's wreaking havoc in our life. She thinks she's the shit. She's so not. She's so far removed from being awesome. It's insane. But yeah, she's convinced herself that she is. And I just look at her, I'm like, oh my God, you're a slave, like, to your own mind. You're a slave to your own fucked up thoughts and lack of accountability. And that was me. I
Yep.
lived I lived in that egoic state for decades. And it wasn't until my 30s that I got into enough pain that I just went, "Oh shit, I'm the problem? Me? No. I'm the problem?" But it was so liberating. So liberating. Talk about the duality of reality.
The duality of
Yep.
reality. Yep. Well, in all relationships, I think a well-rehearsed defense mechanism can come up. Like uh, y- a lot of times, kids have to fill in a narrative. They don't know why their parents did something, and so then they have to fill in a story, and then they
Yeah.
rehearse that story so often and for so long that that becomes their reality. I think parents can do that with their kids. Why did my kid do that? And so then parents have a narrative that they fill in and they rehearse it and they tell all their friends and they get the subconscious payoff of the all
Yeah.
their friends feeling for them, and oh my God, having a child like that is really hard, and everything else happens. Well, these are really well rehearsed defense mechanisms.
Yeah.
I've seen this in politics. As a combat vet, I have seen this in politics where people have very well rehearsed defense mechanisms on either side of the freaking aisle. People, I'm talking about well rehearsed defense mechanisms that I I can't go there because I have projected this for so long that it has become a truth,
Truth.
even though it is not a fact. It is just a
Yeah.
fear-based interpretation of reality.
Yeah, and I think using the parent-child example is a really good example because it's really strong with mothers who can't admit that maybe they have some, pretty poor parenting skills. They haven't read books, they haven't taken classes, they're not asking professionals for advice, they're just winging it, which is so weird. Like, can you imagine if government didn't make us read a book and take a test with another human and a written test to drive a car? Like, we have permits and licenses to drive cars. We literally have to learn from somebody else and then pass the test in order to get on the road. But we don't do this with parenthood. So you just have these people that just think they know what they're doing. And it's like, why do you think that? Because you've had a child before? What about that child? Did you learn anything with that child? Or are you just controlling its every single move? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one great thing about being a teen mom. For me, at least, I knew that I didn't know anything. I knew that I knew nothing about motherhood. And so I read books, I took classes, graduated high school a year early and I registered for college. So I started college at 17 while I was breastfeeding and everything. I was taking psychology courses, I was taking child development courses. So I started to understand like my daughter's developing brain and the habits that I can ensue on her that I didn't want her to have. Um, what was my point to that? Oh yeah, yeah. I knew that I didn't know anything. So that was so humbling, but it ultimately made me a much better mother because I wasn't just like flying blind.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. We got to learn how to have behavioral skills. We got to learn how to have parenting skills, boundaries, parameters, while also allowing the child to explore and get into trouble and feel free and set the age appropriate consequences without inducing shame. So, little side tangent there.
No, it's a great one. And as we continue on number two,
Wait,
you know,
excuse me, babe. That's what I was gonna say. That was what I was gonna say is these mothers or just parents who don't have any accountability for parenting and then convince themselves that they have good parenting skills, but they have zero evidence. Like, where's the evidence from the class you took, from the book that you read, from the therapist or counselor that you're talking to, from the group that you're in? Like, why do you think this? And so then when they see their child with essentially some bad behavior or shitty habits, like all humans do, they project it onto the child, right? It's the
yeah,
child's fault, and the child should know better. And I always find that to be the most comical because I'm just like, do you know that you raised the child? Do
right.
you know that the child was primarily under your care, watched your habits, watched your behavior, saw your personality day in, day out? Now that child is exhibiting behaviors that you don't like. Where do you think the child got it? Where do you
Yes.
think? The 6 hours that they go to school or the other 18 that they're with you. So
Totally. Well, that's a well-rehearsed defense mechanism, right? So
yes,
if
yes.
I'm, when I was a parent, and excuse me, I am a parent, when I became a parent, all I knew is I'm going to do this better than my parents did. And unlike you, I believed that I was grown. I believed I had a lot of life experiences. And so I just was like, yeah, I'm going to nail this parenting thing without reading the books and so on. And that worked out well while it was in the infancy and
Yeah,
the play stage and things like that. But then as the child continues to grow and boundaries are necessary and even worse consequences, right? Consequences were very hard for me. And I mean, took me an outside person actually telling me about the book Good Inside, and me being in that complete like expansion state where I was willing to receive every suggestion I got, that I actually cracked it open and I was like, holy hell, not only do I not know how to parent, but I also need to reparent myself in a lot of
yeah,
areas.
yep,
And so these well-rehearsed defense mechanisms that we can tell ourselves about relationships, right? Like all men are pigs, all women are emotional or can't be satisfied, or any of those things that we might say, right? Oh my God, women are just impossible to please. Well, yeah, 10 days out of the month, that might be correct during Loodle. Okay.
Just leave us
But
alone.
but for the most part, no, it's just that everyone's trying to get their needs met, right? And in a relationship, it takes balance, it takes equilibrium, it takes both people being allowed and actually it being encouraged to have the woman lead for a minute, have a man lead for a minute, and then
Yeah.
the woman takes the reins again and the man takes the reins again. The
The
duality of the
tango.
relation, yeah, the tango that we
Is
call
it
it.
the tango? Yeah.
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 The it's a very important thing in my opinion. It's just real quick off on a tangent. We should be having the women lead in emotions, and we should have the women lead in spirituality, and we should have the men leading in being grounded and being
Protect
secure and being safe, but
protectors. Protection. Yep.
and protectors. But it should be the women that are allowed to be these amazing, gorgeous, expansive creatures. In fact, women used to rule. Used to guard all of the temples. All of the priestesses used to guard all the temples because you guys aren't really as affected by greed as
Or
men
t- or temptation.
or
You
temptation
know,
in
like
general.
if you have a man guarding something really important, literally all it takes is a couple of naked women to come up to him and forget it. Forget
Mm,
it. We're gonna access that treasure. We're gonna access those jewels. We're gonna access that because literally all I have to do is take off my top and men are like, right? They lose all
yep,
control. They get distracted. But
yep,
if we're protecting something, I mean, obviously you can come in and hurt us. You know, men are bigger and stronger, you know, naturally. But a naked male body is not gonna do anything. We're like, yeah, what's up? Like
yeah.
you're hot. Like I want. Like we're okay. It's just so different.
So different. All right. Hey, I got a question for you. Do you want to real quick stop the live and restart it where we can possibly be co-hosts?
Yeah.
Okay, let's stop the live for a second and then restart
And
it and see if we can be
we're
co-hosts.
gonna have to edit out quite a bit, right? Do you mind if I go potty?
Not at all.
Okay.
Do I
Okay, so
mind?
congratulations. This live is no longer live streams made by this live is longer than live streams made by 71% of creators with a similar following. Cool.
Cool. All right, let me try
Why
to do
are
this
they all
again.
men? I want the girls.
Let's try to do this again
Okay, let me go potty.
and go live, but let's try to collaborate. How do we do that?
Oh, okay, wait. I got your invite, but it came through a message. So I see
Huh.
it now.
Settings, moderators,
Oh,
multi-guest.
babe, I had a guy named Chris Chapman say, how do I manifest peace, serenity, and joy along with deep self love again? I keep getting in my own way. I've been there before, but it's been several years. Yes. That would be an ideal client, someone who's
There you
self
go.
aware.
Yep.
Okay, I'll reply to him later.
I'm going to add you as a moderator.
Okay.
What does that do?
I don't know.
That means that you are a big, big moderator. I'll write a moderator. I don't know what that means. Okay. All I know is this one. Hey, babe. You have a drop out, like a drop out, like empty?
I believe so. It was the one I was going to use for your beer bottle.
Right.
That's why I kept these bottles.
Okay. So we want
But
to
I
do
don't know which one. I think I cleaned this one.
this one. Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to get some really, really hot water.
Because I have to put from here to that. So it's going to form a popping.
Let's see how clean it is. It should be, but CBD is so greasy. Okay, give me your hand, 'cause mine's wet.
Okay, let me see this. Maybe once you're live.
Feels like water? Cool. There you go. Do you need it?
Yeah.
Like, do you need it forever?
Oh, no, not for it.
No, just a little white size. Okay, cool. Because will you wash it and then put it back in here? Because I want to use it for Dad's beard oil when his face gets eczema. Good job, honey.
Hi.
Hey.
All right, let me see how to do this.
Well, even if we can't, it's great
Because we're still live on YouTube right now.
Oh, cool.
Okay, ready? I'm gonna record something.
Are you recording too?
No, I'm not going right now. I was waiting until you.
Go ahead, but yeah, we are recording a podcast, so you might need to wait a minute. Actually, can you wait a minute? Can you wait till we're done if you got to record?
I don't need to record.
No, you need to record.
You gotta record, babe.
You got to record, Avery. Okay, so just take a minute. It'll be another half hour before we're done. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let that Sagittarius impatience wash over you.
I can't deal with it.
I so get it.
All right, let me try to do this now. Let me try to search Carissa. Let me try to do this.
Man, that one video is
go on.
still
If you
going
go on
viral.
live right now, what does that do?
So it looks like I need. Well, okay. It looks
So
like. Oh wait.
you go back to TikTok. You go back on live.
Added
and
you
then
as
I
a
might-
moderator for live. Oh, cool. Okay. So let me go back to live.
Back to live, and let me try to.
How to
Says
manifest
not
your
on live.
soulmate. Okay. Do you want me to go live?
Yeah.
Wow, I am getting so many of these weird.
Yep. Try to go live and see what happens.
Okay.
Hello. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a moment. We are learning. We are learning. Are you live right now?
Yeah. Oh, I can invite you.
You can. Does it pop right up?
Yeah, it says invite Coach Honeybear to co-host now.
Wait, here we go. I got
Okay.
you.
There you are.
There we go.
Cool. Do you see how pretty I look? Look,
You look like that to me all day, every day.
thank you, honey. But my face is clearer. They made my eyes bigger. I did something to make my eyes bigger. I was like, oh, this is a cool feature.
Babe, eye roll one more time and see what happens. Eye roll
Eye
one
roll?
more time. Don't you eye roll on me.
Oh, when you call me pretty.
Okay.
Ready.
Ready to go again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So continuing in 3, 2, 1.
Action.
So number 3 up on the duality of reality. Duality of reality.
Duality of reality. It's a little tongue twister.
Is that connection requires embracing contradiction.
Yes. That's a good one.
You can be strong and scared. You can be open and guarded. You can be loving and hurt at the same damn time.
Yeah.
But real intimacy happens when we hold the paradox. You can
Say that
want
again.
closeness. What?
Say that part again.
Real intimacy happens when we hold paradox.
When we hold the paradox.
You can want closeness and at the same time fear abandonment. In ourselves and others, dual truths exist. Love doesn't cancel out insecurity, and desire doesn't erase doubt. The mistake is trying to resolve the paradox instead of relating while we go through it.
Those are good.
Yes.
It reminds me of the two truths. That's really what I think about. When I first moved in with Jake, I remember feeling like I wanted to be around Jake. I was in love with Jake. I loved being with him. And also, I missed my alone time. I missed the quiet. I missed having a 4-bedroom condo that I could do whatever the fuck I wanted in. And I remember explaining this early on in the relationship. And our little 12-year-old, she was like, I'm not her buyout mom. And I remember she's like, I get that, because there's times where I want to just hang out with just dad, but I also don't want to not be with you. And I'm like, I so get that. Like those are the complex human emotions where you're like, man, I just kind of wanted to go back to how it was, which is me and dad. But then Carissa wouldn't be here. Like that, I don't really want that either. So you're just stuck in this like two truths, you know?
So true.
I
So
want to be thin, but I also want to eat cake.
I want to be thin, but I want to eat cake. Well,
Yeah.
and the duality of reality. I really feel like when you're talking about the duality of reality, we're really talking about the spectrum. I hate talking about spectrum because I don't think anything's truly linear. But when you're
Yeah.
talking about
Same.
two ends, right? When you're talking about how far it can go one way before it swings back to the other way, when you're talking about how passionate somebody can get. So if you show me how passionate somebody is, I'm going to show you how they also go crazy,
Yeah.
right? The more excited you can get toward the positive is exactly the measure of how excited you can get in the negative. So if you show me somebody who can get really, really, really happy, I'm going to show you somebody who can also get really, really, really sad,
Yeah.
right?
That
Their
made me think of
swings.
Robin Williams.
Yes, Robin
Yeah,
Williams,
like
perfect.
yeah, when he died, the whole world was like, "Wait, what? He was depressed? Like how? He was always so happy." And I remember seeing this in a movie, and I cannot remember the name of the movie, but the opening line was so beautiful. She was like, "The people who can travel to the darkest parts of their mind and engage in heinous acts and heinous behavior. Guess what also is true? Those people, in comparison to maybe normies who are more just boring, like in the middle, shouldn't say that. The people who can go to the darkness have a much easier time swinging the pendulum to the other side of light, and kindness and love. And Jake and I we are living and walking and talking examples, having ontological experience of just that. You know, as you guys know, Jake is a combat veteran. He's been to war. That means he has experience taking life. And now he's a healer. You know, now he's taking like really, really amazing care, financially, sexually, physically, spiritually, intellectually of me. I don't I know that wasn't his reality with his last wife. It was a little bit darker. I've never met that guy ever. I'm so fortunate. And so now he's over here on the other side of the pendulum, and he did that in 2 or 3 years. Whereas someone who's just a little bit more like even keel and not quite as passionate, we could use the word stable, right? It was just a little more stable. They most likely will not kind of come over here to like the love and the light and the acts of service and the serving humanity and their life purpose being to raise the consciousness of the planet, because they don't have the paradox, they don't have the duality. They legitimately don't know how to be love and light because they've never been dark. And so they don't even see, like, we can only recognize, you know, love because we've experienced hate. We can only recognize the darkness because we know what light looks like. You know, if you never saw daytime, nighttime would just be your norm. We know that it's night because we know day. And so it is that duality that allows us to, at least for people like Jake and I think a lot of the listeners that we manifest, um,
We have that duality.
thank you.
Yeah. So with that also, right? So like you said, I've seen combat, I've taken life. I've really gone and walked a deep dark night of the soul. I've went full on deep into hell, faced all of my demons, named them, made them my pets, made them my friends, and emerged on the other side with like an army of not just light but also dark, fully integrating that shadow, fully integrating those dark parts of me, fully understanding that those
Yeah.
had to exist in order to create the guy I am here. Now, just because that exists doesn't mean that that needs to be the way I lead every conversation. Doesn't need to
Right.
be the way that I that I interact with everybody. It doesn't need to be my come out role doesn't mean like, hey, my name's Jake and I've killed people. That isn't integrating, right? Where I am is standing from a place of I know the great violence that I am capable of, and I choose how to interact based on this current scenario. There may be a time again where I do need to unleash massive violence. But for now, right now, I don't
Yeah.
need that. My family needs me to be a different man. My family needs, and I need me to be a different man at this moment. So fully embracing the contradiction, right? Like my woman, you, Carissa, absolutely a hot knife through butter, cutting through bullshit with very little patience for all of the tiptoeing around the truths that people do, right?
Yeah, I'm bad. I
Very
can
little
be so
patience for
better.
the tiptoeing around the truths. And it's actually kind of funny because I historically have been that as well. And when we first met, I actually said to her, I said, wow, we have a lot of similarities. And what I meant was if I was a woman, I probably would be exactly like Carissa.
Yeah.
And I would have, I would have fought men. I would have done all the things that she's done.
Yeah, well, we're
If
both fighters. That is for
Yeah,
sure. Like we are both fighters to a T. And we have been very blessed to have daughters that are fawners. And it's so funny. I was telling Jake that the other day. I was like, oh, like our daughters are just like it's so beautiful that they have a different nervous system response because it allows us to have compassion and understanding. Because I was kind of arrogant where I'd be like, I just never understood, women who were in like abusive relationships. I never got that. I was like, throw a punch. You know what I mean? Like grab a skillet, grab an iron or skillet and fucking knock him over the head and get out of that. Like I couldn't even process the fact that you have fists. I am a black belt, and so it was just very natural for me to just, fight. And I am little, but I'm fast. I'm fast, I connect, and I'm good. Um, what was my point to this? I was gonna circle it back.
it's okay. I was actually just flattering you, and you were like, yeah. And so I wanted to let you go. But yeah, I was just
Thanks,
trying
honey.
to
Thank you.
but the duality here, the embracing contradiction, where it, as peaceful as somebody is, I promise you that's how confident they are in being violent, right?
That's where I was gonna go. Yeah.
You'll see some of the kindest people on earth will 100% able to fuck you up. And
Yes.
and it is something that you should always be open to. You never know. When someone's completely calm in the chaos, it is because they're used to chaos.
Yeah.
Beware. Okay?
Yeah. And that person is generally dangerous. The loudest one in the room, the most arrogant, the one causing drama, the one calling all the family members and the friends and like that. Guess what? That person is not dangerous. That person is a pest. That person is a thorn in your side. That person is just a miserable existence of a human being that they just haven't caught on yet. And they might not in this lifetime. And that truly is really liberating to just understand of like, hey, dude, I got it. I have a level of consciousness that allows me to look at myself, that allows me to see that I'm imperfect, that allows me to see that I can manipulate and also know that I'm manipulating, maybe because I like control or because my nervous system needed it when I was in childhood, and then become an unmanipulative. Is that the name? Is that the word?
Yeah.
An unmanipulative person. But you can't ever grow or recognize the duality of reality if you can't look within
Yeah.
yourself.
And we can make up words because all words are made up.
That's
So
right.
just so
Thank
you
you,
know.
hun.
But with regard to relationships, I think it's very important to also highlight something. So people say opposites attract, or we'll say, oh yeah, you're gonna find someone who's the exact opposite of you, and that's not exactly correct. Um, we actually are going to feel complete when we have somebody who is us, but the opposite charge. So if I'm positively charged, my partner needs to be negatively charged. If I'm negatively charged, my partner needs to be positively charged. But our basic principles should pretty much
Align.
align.
Yeah.
You and I, Carissa and I, are not supposed to be in a relationship. If you read anything about the zodiac, I'm a Taurus, she's a Sagittarius, and we're basically not supposed to ever end up in a relationship. In the event that these two do end up in a relationship, it is going to be massive tension and friction during the first couple years because he wants to stay and she wants to go. He wants to relax and she is fire and wants to explore. He wants to be home, she wants to be out. All of he will respond with grounding and she is going to respond with flight.
Like,
This is not supposed to happen. However, we see eye to eye on how the world works and we see eye to eye on the parts behind the scenes, right? We both remove the veil of the world and we both see the matrix for what it is. We both see society for what it is. We both see governments for what they are. We both see the pharmaceutical, medical, industrial complex for what it is. We both see, the public school system for what it is. We both
Yeah.
see the manipulation of of religions. Where's your shirt, hon?
Wait, pause.
Where's your shirt? Bought this. I think you bought this off someone's TikTok, right?
Yeah, can you see it? Is it in the frame?
Yeah, it says, OMG, you guys, it's not what I said.
I love Jesus. I've always loved Jesus. I went to Calvary Chapel Christian School. I was doctor's daughter, private school, and I just remember having such a close connection to Jesus but still didn't buy like the shit that was in the Bible because like that was written by 40 apostles, right? Like 40 men. And so when I saw that shirt, I was like, oh, that's incredible because Jesus was a healer. Jesus understood heaven and hell. Jesus understood that you cannot have good without the bad. You cannot have love without the hate. Like you can't. That exists all here on earth. It doesn't exist in the spiritual realm. That's not how it works. It exists here. So
Well,
they manipulate society as a form of control. They've been doing it for years.
right. And another way to say that, right? Like it's there's nothing peaceful or there's nothing super peaceful about literally sitting in isolation and then saying you're peaceful. You're
Right.
sitting in isolation, let's say middle of the woods, Thoreau on Walden Pond or wherever you want to go. Let's say you're sitting in the middle of nowhere, nobody's interacting with you, you're not interacting with anybody else, and you're a peaceful person. No, the fuck you're not. You're just completely isolated,
Yeah.
not triggered. We don't know if you're a peaceful person. Have someone walk all up in your campsite and start flipping pans over and start rummaging through your shit and then see if you're still a peaceful person. Ask them to stop and they continue and see if you're a peaceful person. Like, how far does your peace actually go in when you start interacting with other people? And I think that's one of the beautiful things about Jesus, about who are some other people, Mahatma Gandhi, about
Mhm.
a lot of these people that chose peace. They chose peace in the face of massive adversity, right? They chose to be peaceful instead of taking up arms in the face of massive adversity. And the same thing happens in a relationship. You're going to
Yeah.
have that time where you guys are going to be new relationship. Oh my God, it's great. Oh, you're great. You're great. Oh yeah, everything's fine. And the infinite possibilities. And then something is said that kind of triggers something in the back of your head. And then maybe another thing is said. And then you're starting to try to shake those off. And now the person isn't as perfect and whatever. And at some point you've got to still decide to move forward or to cut that relationship off. But again, it requires that other person. That other person is going to bring out, or that other person is going to bring out whether or not you're peaceful. That other person is going to bring out whether or not you've healed those wounds from your past relationship. You won't know until you get back out there.
Yeah. And your partner who's opposite, I do kind of believe that partners should be opposite only because to me it feels like it's like you're getting the missing piece. So it just to me makes sense. I don't think all 9 billion, 8 billion people on the planet need to be opposites in order to have a successful relationship. I just know that it works for me because like Jake said, when we first got together, it was challenging, but it was so beautiful from like the bird's eye view. Like if you have like a bird's eye view and you kind of look down on like what you're going through in life, Jake would be maybe a little too passive in areas where I really helped him step up, like setting boundaries with family, setting boundaries with exes. And then also, he had multiple trained professionals and therapists and coaches from AA kind of agree with what I was saying, with the advice and suggestions that I was giving. And that really helped him. Whereas with me, I am not a passive person. I'm not passive aggressive. I'm not any of that. In fact, I'm too aggressive and I've got to like tone it down. Like I'm a Sagittarius, right? And so what I learned from Jake is he'd be like, honey, do we need to pick this fight? Like, is this the hill you want to die on? Is this the battle? And a lot of the times I'm like, no, I don't. So I was able to start relinquishing control. I was able to start letting things go. I was able to learn a whole different way of operating and being that I learned from Jake. So, and
So
I
wait,
literally learned it from like watching him and seeing him. So it worked out great for us.
yeah, well, luckily I do have a lot of hours of coaching in a gym setting, and I have had to learn picking your battles, right? Picking your battles with your client. Yes, if I watch anybody squat, there's a laundry list of things that possibly need corrections, right? But really, you got to look for what's the most egregious error and how and fix that, right? It's triage, and it's kind of the same thing. I remember you would say to me, you're like, so wait, even though you know that what that person is, even though you know that what that person is saying is incorrect, you don't just fix. Why don't you tell them? You know the
Oh, like you're
knowledge. Why
gonna let
aren't
him
you telling them?
know.
Why aren't you telling them? And I'm like, it's okay, hon.
He's like,
They'll figure it out eventually. They don't need to be here. And that's three questions, right? Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said right now? And does it need to be said by me?
yeah.
Those are three worthwhile questions, right? Just like when you're battling subconscious beliefs, is this true? Is this
Is this
true all the
every time?
time?
Yeah.
And is this true for everyone?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, moving on.
And we are
That's
at the
fine. We're just going and we're fine. Don't worry. The ego seeks certainty, but love requires openness.
ah,
The ego wants
no.
control, the heart wants connection.
Oh, so
The
true.
ego prefers binary. The ego sees good and bad. The ego sees right and wrong. The ego says safe, unsafe.
Yeah.
But relationships exist in this gray space, this vulnerability, this nuance, this unpredictability, this other person that I can't control. Even if they would just listen to me, then
Yeah.
they wouldn't have any fucking problems.
My life would be better if you just listen to me. Like, controlling? Yes.
But controlling for your own good.
Yeah. But it's like you're not the only one that exists on the planet. Sorry. Like you gotta oh my God, this happened last night at the airport. Just like quick example, my little daughter, it was like almost midnight, and somebody next to her where we were sitting, I don't know what she was saying. I had my little earplugs in and she was like, this guy is this and this guy is that and this guy is this and this guy is that. And she has a lot of fear from what she goes through with. She doesn't feel fear with her dad and I. But I just look at her and I go, well, why don't you just let him be him and you be you? And she's like, okay. You could tell she was like liberated in that moment. She's like, it's genius. Just let him be him and you be you. Like, we don't need to control. That's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, if you can't tolerate duality, right, then you're going to constantly try to fix all those little things that are wrong with that other
Yeah.
person
Oh, you're
because
driving
they
yourself
do
mad.
things differently, because
Yeah.
they pour their coffee differently. And
Yep.
if they just did it this way, it'd be better. Or if they make the bed differently. And it's like, no, you make the bed this way. And it's like, hang on, they're towels. Or the ever controversial toilet paper roll, whether it's over or under, which by the
Oh
way,
God, come on. It's got to be over.
it's got to be over.
It's got to be
Okay.
over. It's got to be over.
That's
Yeah.
a first date question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
first date question. If you guys don't agree on that, fucking pack your bags. Just walk away. Just walk away.
Well, and the hardest part too is I think there's a sense of like shame, like a small part of shame of like, "Ugh, I'm doing this wrong," especially if you see a way that is legitimately better, right? That has to be a little bit challenging, because I think it might be difficult for people not to take it personal, where it doesn't need to be personal, it's just, "Oh, you've learned, like, a more effective way." It's like when cell phones came out and all of a sudden we have GPS on our phone, nobody felt shame about printing out, you know, directions on MapQuest. People weren't like, "Oh, man, I've been doing it wrong this whole time." No, you just learned a more effective way. That's it. Or like the dishwasher, right? Nobody was angry when the dishwasher came out. It wasn't like, "Oh, I've been washing dishes by hand." Like, nope, you just learned a more effective way. That's it. Let's not even make it personal. Now your life just got easier. You're welcome.
Babe, I'm gonna blow your mind real quick, okay?
All right, blow it.
I promise you, some people got upset when the dishwasher came out.
Well, that's because it was invented by a woman. And I know in this patriarchy society that can be a little challenging.
I'm just saying that in this world, I'm sure somebody viewed that as a sign of
Yeah, that's true.
laziness
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
no longer going to be responsible for these tasks.
Yep.
Um, okay, number 5. Growth lives in the dance between acceptance and change.
Yes, it's so true.
You have to love yourself as you are and still challenge yourself to grow.
Yeah. And that
It-
that is gonna be a little uncomfortable. Growing pains are legitimately uncomfortable. Your knees hurt, your hips hurt. They're uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think that it is hard to always identify correctly, do I need to accept this or do I need to change?
Yeah.
Right? And in conscious relationships, we must balance self-compassion with accountability.
Mhm. And I
Too
think
much
that
accept Go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, I think the way to answer that question, right? Like whether or not it's acceptance or change is if it's something that keeps coming up and keeps coming up and keeps coming up, and you've heard it multiple times from multiple sources. Jake and I were kind of talking about this in the beginning. That's usually the indicator that it's you, that you need to change. If you're hearing the same thing just from a different mouth, that's you. You're the problem.
Yeah.
Generally, you know.
Because in this in this universe, in this world, right? Um, I completely adhere to the universal one where we
Hold it
are
up a little higher for our podcasters. Universal one. Yep.
the universal one, but where we are all part of this universal consciousness, right? And so the whatever God you want to what and in whatever way that that presents itself to you, if you're not doing it on your own, then your reality is going to start hitting you with it over and over and
Oh my gosh.
over and over again. And everywhere you look, you're going to start hearing the same thing. And that's why these little synchronicities that are happening are actually the universe trying to tell you, like, hey, something needs to go here. Like in Bruce Almighty, when he's like, just give me a sign, and a truck pulls out with all those signs, right? It's where we need the signier sign.
The
You
signer
know,
sign. Give me a
it's
signer
like,
sign.
oh, something needs to give here. I don't know what it is. And believe me, as recovering alcoholic and you know, both of us are in recovery. Um, everything else needed to change, but I didn't want to change my alcohol,
Yeah.
right? Everything else needed to change, and I was willing to lose everything else, but I did not want to lose my alcohol. However, eventually, enough times you get hit with enough times, you're either going to change or go down with the ship.
Or stay miserable. You're going to stay broke. You're going to stay single. You're going to stay lonely. You're going to probably stay unhealthy. Like you're just going to live in that misery, trying to convince yourself it's anything other than misery and isolation. Just like the work, sleep, eat, hang out with your kids a little bit, and then rinse and repeat. It's like
Rinse and repeat, and then pretty
that is
soon there's 10
not
years have gone by.
and that is not why we come to earth. That is not. We come for pleasure and abundance and wisdom and pain and excitement, and we come for all of it. So just being Oh man, being trapped in your own mind and your own ego is just so sad.
Yes. And if you haven't, definitely recommend reading Viktor Frankl as well. Um, Too much acceptance becomes complacency,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can be like, oh, okay, I'll just accept that. Okay, I'll just accept that. And pretty soon you're just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
And too much change becomes self-rejection,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're not always wrong. You're not always wrong. If there's a voice inside your head that keeps replaying it, right? First of all, say, go seek it with a coach, with a trusted friend, make sure that you're bouncing it off of somebody. You're like, hey, I keep having this voice, I keep having this urge, this desire, right? And then bounce it off a few people to see if you're right.
Make sure
Um,
those people are healthy though.
that's a
Make
fact.
sure, yeah, make sure they're not like 20 years younger than you because that's fucking weird. And make sure they only have a life that you want, right? Are they good spouses? Are they good parents? Are they happy and successful in their life, in their career, in their relationships?
Yep.
You don't want to go ask somebody who maybe they're a millionaire, but they, left their kids at 6 years old and moved across country. Like, don't ask that person for advice because they might be a little bit checked out. It might not be the person you want to be taking advice from. Um, Make sure they have what you want.
Yeah. Um, and Gabor Mate talks about that we're constantly in this push-pull between authenticity and connection, right? Well, connection is connection with other people, and authenticity is how we're really representing ourselves in our truest form, being authentic to ourselves. And a lot of us children, especially children of the 90s, children of the 80s, a lot of us had to perform up to our parents' standards in order to receive love. And kids, I think, are still experiencing this, where they're having to perform up to their parents' standards in order to
Yeah.
receive love.
Yep.
And
That all the
unfortunately,
time.
that's not unconditional love. That's love conditioned based on grades. That's love conditioned based on friendships. That's love conditioned based on success in sports. That's
Hmm.
love conditioned on a
On
whole.
listening to me, on listening and like controlling your kid, and then if your kid does anything different and you're like, "What you say? Don't talk to me like that. Don't back talk." Like, okay, that's great
Yeah.
parenting.
So
Good parenting.
those,
Sorry,
no, you're okay. So a lot of people unknowingly conditioned you to separate from self, unless they did it on purpose. Whole different topic. But teachers telling you you've got to do this, professors in college telling you in order to get an A grade, you have to write this paper this way with these things, right? Everyone's used to performing to these standards to get that good grade. Well, then when do we actually find our authenticity?
Yeah.
We actually find that authenticity when we get out of those structures, when we get out of those social constructs, and we spend some time with self. What you got there?
What?
Oh, nothing. So the if we start to please too many people at the same time, if what we're trying to do in a relationship is perform up to her standards or perform up to his standards, then what we are ultimately doing is moving away from self, and we are rejecting self, and we are now doing things to try to please our partner. As we're doing things to try to please our partner, when we aren't successful, we can then become resentful because we're like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm doing this to please you. It's not getting the effect that I actually want. This isn't what I want to do or how I want to behave or how I want to show up anyway. And everybody's upset. The person you're trying to please is upset. You yourself is upset. And it all stemmed from this idea of I'm going to try and perform to your standards rather than to my authentic self.
Yeah,
There
and
is there is a perfect person for each and every one of us out there. There is
yeah.
a perfect mate for you out there, right? Hydrogen bonds with oxygen, right? All the time. They don't really bond with chlorine that well, but you know what does? Sodium, okay? I'm not a chemist, but I'm just saying that there are perfect matches and there are better matches.
Yeah.
So opposites attract. The reason I brought up this book, Universal One, also was because it's not just that opposites attract, it's that scientifically speaking, we have a perfect pairing for us,
They become
for
one.
our life. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I was just say they become one. They become like their ultimate solidified form, allowing them to have an impact on Earth.
They become a better version than they would
Yeah.
have
Thank you.
without each other,
Yeah.
right? They
And
become a more enhanced version.
I wanted to say too, when you are trying to please someone, one, don't try to please anybody but yourself and your spouse and your kids. Like really hone it into your your nuclear family. And it's also okay to use vulnerability in those moments. And I can give you guys just a little example. So yesterday I made this homemade lasagna, gluten-free lasagna for Jake and our daughter, our 12-year-old. And then I made some banana bread. And my our 12-year-old and I, we were out late last night, and I got home and the banana bread wasn't put away. And so I just told Jake, I was like, babe, I made that for you and I worked hard, and, I want you to, put it away. And he was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. Duh. You worked hard on that. Thank you. And so if you are trying, it wasn't as, no, I was trying to please you. Yeah, no, I was trying to please. I was trying to be a good wife and make him happy and feed him. Because we both do that for each other. And so then when I noticed that, maybe my feelings were hurt or whatever, and I just expressed that allowed me to be soft, that allowed me to be feminine, that allowed me to be vulnerable, and my husband completely received it. So, and that brings people closer. It makes you feel better. It makes you feel connected. And so there's nothing wrong with trying to please people you love to a certain degree. You never want to abandon yourself to please another, no matter what, not even for your children. That does not teach your children how to be I want to say autonomy, but what would
Yeah.
that be? Anyways,
Self-sufficient,
yeah,
sovereign.
yeah. So thank you. It doesn't allow them to be sovereign people either.
Yeah. Okay, couple of things, and then I think we can wrap it up.
Yep.
Okay, so here's a stat for you.
Give me some stats, babe.
According to research published in the Psychological Science, partners in long-term relationships overestimate how well they understand each other by up to 50%.
Read that again.
People in long-term relationships overestimate how well they understand each other by up to 50%.
Whoa, I could see that. I'm learning new things about you every day, even though I think I know you. Yep, I
Yep.
can see that.
So even when people have been together for decades, they often assume they know each other's truth when actually they're just projecting.
Yeah, I can see that.
Stat number 2. 90% of relationship conflict is due to misperception, not incompatibility.
I could see that too.
Most fights aren't about reality. They're about what we believe is happening, often based on past wounds.
Oh, guilty, so guilty, so guilty, so guilty.
We don't respond to the person in front of us. We respond to our own projection of them and the emotional experience that we're
Yeah.
having inside.
Yeah. And it's usually your mom or your dad. If you really dig deep enough, it comes from childhood. Your first experience with it was childhood.
Yeah. I know you love the Gottman Institute.
I do.
69% of relationship conflict is perpetual, meaning it never gets solved. So long-term love is not about erasing duality. It's about learning how to live with it, because growth comes from integrating each other's truths, not choosing one or the other as right.
Yeah. Learning how to live with another person and not control them to suit you. That is growth. That is acceptance. That is independence. That's freedom. That's liberation. That's all the things.
All the things.
That's all the things.
Yep.
That doesn't mean you don't compromise on things that bother you. That just means like you're in control of you, and that is it. You're not even in control of your children. That's an illusion to think that you are. They will grow up and they will leave you, and they will stop listening to you, especially if you treat them like robots and just
Yep.
expect them,
The number one fear, or sorry, the number one barrier to emotional intimacy. The number one barrier to emotional intimacy is the fear of vulnerability.
Mm,
And I want to talk about this because we do have a membership. We do have a community for safe love, right? We do have a community for our people that are trying to manifest their dream relationship, their soulmate. And the fear of vulnerability, I think, is something that happens, especially if we have been hurt in
yeah.
love. We may have hurt ourselves in love. We may have been hurt by another person in love. But then we get this fear of being vulnerable again, especially if we've found safety in solace, right?
Yeah.
In solitude. Then it's like, why would I ever freaking invite this chaos and this other person's bullshit back into my life? Why would I ever do that? And unfortunately, it's a fear of vulnerability. It's a fear of getting hurt again. And I think in relationships, this is where death by a thousand cuts can come in. You mentioned the banana bread, right? Leaving the banana bread out on the counter. And you said to me, well, you said to me, you said, I don't want to say anything because I just don't want there to be a fight. And I was like, no, sweetheart, what do you got? Like, what's going on? And you said, I really feel like I'm the one who's cleaning the kitchen countertops more than anyone else. It's not a balance, right? You're cleaning the countertops more often than I am. That is not in balance. Well, your fear of bringing that to me can only come from me not being a safe person to bring that to.
Well, no, I would
Or
disagree because it could be your past experiences.
or it could be your past
Yeah.
experiences of bringing that to somebody else and them not receiving it.
Right.
But
Could
that
go
fear
both.
of being vulnerable, it can be death by a thousand cuts, especially in a relationship where a guy might shut down his woman, shut down her again, shut her down again. Well, guess what? She's going to ultimately shut down and stop bringing you things. Same thing with a guy. You shut him down, you shut him down, you shut him down. Well, he's going to stop bringing you things.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful. I think we all have to be very careful in a relationship that when our partner is addressing us with some kind of vulnerability, some kind of thing that might be a little bit touchy, might hurt our feeling. All right. We have to be very careful about how do I want to be perceived? Do I want to be perceived as unwilling, closed minded, inflexible? I'm right, you're wrong. The fuck are we doing in a
I'm good.
relationship then?
Yeah, I don't want to be like that. No.
No, I don't want to be like
Or
that
date
either.
someone
So,
like that. Those people
what?
are usually chronically single.
Yeah. Chronically single, or they're in a relationship and their partner says thanks for the money and goes and cheats on them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or they just have,
Um,
you know, some of those couples that live totally separate lives too.
yeah. Okay, last one.
Okay.
Self compassion is a stronger predictor of relationship satisfaction than self esteem.
Oh, I would so agree because if you can show self-compassion to yourself, right, then you can show self-compassion to others so much easier because self-compassion for self is way harder than compassion for others.
Yeah. It directly correlates with a person's ability to take accountability without shame.
Yeah.
Healthy relationships require both softness and stretch. If you can only accept yourself, then you're stagnant, right? If you can only criticize yourself, you collapse. But duality is the path. So, once again, just want to bring it up that this is the duality of reality. I'm Jake. This is Carissa, my wife. We're going to be joining you live. We're everywhere that you wanted us to be. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify. This has been a live recording of a podcast.
And our first
Also,
one on TikTok.
also,
Woo!
first one on TikTok Live,
And you said we're streaming to YouTube?
and we're streaming to YouTube. Yes. And we're working out all
Ooh.
the kinks.
Yeah, we got a new
Yes, we are.
system, and so give us 6 months to a year, and we're gonna be
Yes, but our big thing is about co-creating your dream relationship, helping you find your soulmate. Whether you're in a relationship or not, you can
we're not.
create a dream relationship starting from exactly where you are. You just need to be able to and be willing to be able to look at your own shit and be able to receive some feedback and then be able to laugh your way through it. That's why we call ourselves Manifestation for Assholes.
Yeah.
Because we're both recovering assholes.
Yeah.
As a combat veteran, I am absolutely capable of being the biggest freaking prick you've ever seen, and Carissa has seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Carissa is absolutely capable of being the biggest bitch you have ever seen, and I've seen it.
Mm-hmm. Her
And
name's
we
Fiona.
both
That
choose
version
each
of me.
other. We choose each other. We choose each other every morning. We choose each other, during a disagreement, after a disagreement, things like that. We're like, all right, dude. So it is about showing up. It is about choosing yourself. It is about choosing the other person. It is about a bunch of forgiveness. But we have an amazing relationship. We have a great sex life.
And it comes with a great sex life.
We have great, deep conversations like this. We investigate the world together. We explore the world together. I truly feel that we both have found our perfect pairing, right? Our perfect match. And we want to help you guys. We want to help anyone else create that as well. That is why we have the Manifesting Misfits Playground. That is why we have our YouTube and our podcast and everything else. So please make sure you're following us. We are committed to going live on here more often. And
yeah, every Monday we're doing it now.
Yep. And I promise you, you are deserving of that dream relationship.
Oh, yes.
No matter where you're at and what you're doing, you deserve to have a life that you love waking up to.
Yeah. So thank you, honey. The Manifesting Misfits Playground, which is our online membership, $33 a month. Great price. You're going to be able to meet with us once a week. We're going to do meditations, hypnosis, shadow work, journaling. We're going to pull all of that out of you that needs to be cleared, as well as pour into you what needs to be filled, so that you can truly become the best version of yourself. Because once you are the best version of yourself, and that it's not going to cap there, you're going to continue to evolve into a better version. But once you become that, you're going to attract a much higher caliber partner. And Jake and I have learned how to do this. We've done it with each other. And so we feel really, really passionate about helping other people do the same. Plus, we love weddings. And so we want to go to everybody's wedding. We'll just be little matchmakers. And then when you manifest your soulmate, please invite us so we can come and I can wear a pretty dress and I can go dancing, because my husband's a good dancer and it's so much fun.
Yes.
So that will open. I want to officially open it, babe, August 15th.
Okay. That's a perfect date. That's what I was feeling too.
Cool.
All right,
So
I'm going to leave you with a few more.
List, so that way you can stay updated. Follow us on TikTok. I am Consciously Carissa. Jake is Coach Honey Bear. By the way, I just want to congratulate my husband because he went uber viral on TikTok last week. He made a video that has, I believe, 730 likes. I just showed Michaela last night in the car on the way home from the airport, and he got, what are you at now? 250 followers on that one video.
Yeah, I think so. And
that's insane.
It's almost at 7,000 views. It was really a great.
It was so cool to watch.
It was really great. It really was.
Yeah.
And I appreciate each and every one of you. So please give us a like and a follow. Jump on here when you do see us live. It'd be great to have on the background while you're working, while you're jogging, or stuff like that, while you're creating. And then of course, if you missed any part of this, we do have the podcast. This is the live recording of the podcast, and I will have it ready probably within 24 hours.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much.
I'm going to leave you with 10 more things.
Oh, okay.
If you listen this long, okay, 10 more paradoxes that are the heartbeat of being human. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Number 1, you have to let go to receive.
Yeah.
Number 2, you can feel grateful and still want more. Number 3, you can love someone and still not be right for each other. Number 4, you have to be okay alone before you can truly be with someone. Number 5, the more you try to prove your worth, the more disconnected from it you will become. Number 6, you have to accept yourself fully in order to change. Number 7, your greatest strength will also be your greatest challenge. Number 8, freedom requires discipline.
Right? You're like, what? But it does.
9, healing often feels worse before it feels better. And 10, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm Jake, and this is Carissa, and we are so happy that you joined us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Mwah. Bye.